Behind the Line Extra for your Sunday, February 16th, 2020. I'm your host, KC. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to make sure you get all notifications for the channel. Aaron Gordon got screwed for the second time in that dunk contest last night. By the way, I'm really not big on NBA All-Star Weekend. I don't like All-Star games in general. I don't like the Pro Bowl. I think it's boring as fuck. The NBA, I don't really get into the skills competitions. I don't like the All-Star game itself. It's a glorified exhibition. The dunk contest used to be really good back in the Jordan days, but it got to a point where the guys in the dunk contest, there was nothing new they could do. So for the past, 10, 15 years, the dunk contest has been really anticlimactic. But this year, I got to give credit where credit's due. The dunk contest last night was phenomenal. It was great. It went into, 2 or 3 overtimes, I guess you could call it, because Aaron Gordon and Derrick Jones Jr. were putting on a fucking show. It was great. I didn't want it to end. At the last 2 or 3 dunks, they had to improvise because they didn't expect it to go that long. I mean, they were getting 50s across the board. At one point, every dunk Aaron Gordon had was a 50 from the judges. And this is what I don't understand. This is why I think Aaron Gordon got screwed. He won that dunk contest. I don't know where or who chooses these judges, but what is Dwayne Wade doing judging a dunk contest? What is Candace Parker doing judging a dunk contest? Common. Chadwick Boseman. What the fuck does Common and Chadwick Boseman know about dunking? Nothing. Common's a rapper. Chadwick Boseman is an actor. I love Dwayne Wade. He's one of my all-time favorite NBA players. But you can't think that there wasn't some type of favoritism being shown towards Derrick Jones Jr. because he's a member of the Miami Heat, and Dwayne Wade, of course, spent most of his career in Miami. I just feel like the judging kind of put a damper on what was a phenomenal dunk contest. And I'm not the only one that feels this way. I was looking at Twitter last night, and everybody was saying the same thing that I'm saying now. Aaron Gordon should have won that dunk contest. They interviewed him afterwards, and he basically told the press he's not doing the dunk contest again, and I don't fucking blame him. It's the second time that he should have won, and he was screwed over by the judges. All right, let's switch gears. When you look at professional sports franchises, oftentimes the team adopts the personality of their owner. Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys in the late 1980s. Jerry is a flashy, flamboyant guy, loves to be in front of the camera. The Cowboys of the 90s were the same way. Deion Sanders, Michael Irvin, Leon Lett, a lot of showboating. Even Coach Jimmy Johnson. The Lakers were owned by Dr. Jerry Buss, big in the 80s LA party scene. On the court, you had the Showtime Lakers. Every game was a party. Both the Saints and the Pelicans in New Orleans are owned by Gail Benson. She's big on family. So was Tom Benson. You talk to players from both teams, they talk about how much of a family-type feel there is in the locker room and throughout the organization. Then you have the New York Knicks, owned by James Dolan. When I think of James Dolan, I think unorganized, clusterfuck. I think stubborn. I think disaster. I think dysfunction. When I think of New York Knicks basketball the past 20 years that James Dolan has owned the team, I think all of those same things. James Dolan is an embarrassment to the NBA. For 20 years, the New York Knicks, once one of the most storied franchises in the NBA, located in the basketball mecca of New York City in Midtown Manhattan, have been an eyesore. Under James Dolan, the Knicks have a combined record of 689 and 990, 17 losing seasons, 10 seasons with 50 or more losses, 6 playoff appearances in 20 years. The Knicks haven't made the playoffs since 2013. For 20 years, James Dolan and the New York Knicks have been the definition of incompetence. And it started almost immediately after he bought the team. 2001, he gave Allen Houston a contract for 6 years worth $100 million. When no other team in the NBA offered the fucking guy more than $75 million. In 2003, he hired Isaiah Thomas to be the team president. Isaiah Thomas was a great basketball player. Terrible executive. 2005, he hired legendary head coach Larry Brown. In his first season, they were 23-59. Now, mind you, the Knicks were coming off 4 straight losing seasons when Larry Brown was hired. Naturally, you would think it would take some time to turn things around. James Dolan apparently didn't have time because he fired Larry Brown after 1 year. Then had to buy out his 5-year contract. Essentially, he paid Larry Brown $28 million to coach the Knicks for 1 year. 2007, James Dolan was named as a defendant in a sexual harassment lawsuit. Ended up paying an $11 million settlement. Summer of 2012, he let Jeremy Lin, the most popular Knick player since Patrick Ewing, leave for Houston in restricted free agency because he didn't want to match their $25 million offer. So let me get this straight. You'll pay Allen Houston $100 million, but you can't pay Jeremy Lin $25 million? A guy who took the country by storm in 2012. A guy you could have marketed the hell out of. A guy who fit Mike D'Antoni's system perfectly. You let him walk. February 2015, James Dolan received a letter from a rightfully pissed off New York Knicks fan. A letter that criticized his ownership of the team. NFL and NBA owners receive these types of letters every day. Normally, they do nothing about it. They don't respond. If they do respond, they'll give free tickets or merchandise, something to appease the guy who wrote them. Not James Dolan. He replies with a scathing letter telling the Knicks fan to go root for the Nets and called the guy an alcoholic. This season, the product on the court in Madison Square Garden, the attitude of the team and the organization is reflecting that of its owner. Wednesday night, Bobby Portis joined 2 other Knicks players by being tossed out of a game for an unconventional reason. During a timeout, he caught a practice shot from Wizards guard Shabazz Napier, proceeded to throw it back at Napier, hitting him in the arm. Disaster. Dysfunction. This isn't the first incident like this from Portis this year. He was given a flagrant 2 foul for slapping Lakers player Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on the head during a fast break. Stupid. Knicks guard Elfrid Payton was thrown out of a game against Memphis a couple of weeks ago for shoving Jay Crowder into the stands on a 3-point shot. Game had less than a minute to play. Memphis was up by 18 points. No reason to do it. Then you've got the Knicks' new branding consultant, the new marketing guy, Steve Stout, telling the public that the team will be moving on from interim head coach Mike Miller in the offseason. Now, not only is this completely asinine to say in the middle of February about your head coach, you're throwing the guy under the bus, indicating to the public that you're mailing in the rest of the season. Not to mention the fact that Steve Stout has absolutely no authority to hire and fire a head coach. The guy's a fucking idiot, just like James Dolan. People in New York City have been calling for James Dolan to sell the Knicks for years. And their pleas have fallen on deaf ears. I believe it's time for NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to step in and force James Dolan to sell this franchise. I've called out Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Bungles on this podcast several times for not being committed to winning. But at least the franchise isn't an embarrassing eyesore to the NFL. At least its ownership isn't sexually assaulting women, cursing out its fan base, and putting shit on the field year after year after year. James Dolan is the worst owner in professional sports, and second place isn't even close. The NBA is better when the Knicks, the Lakers, and the Celtics are good. It just is. When the big market teams in the NBA are relevant, the league is better. James Dolan has had 20 years to build a winning franchise in the basketball mecca of the world. And he's failed for 20 straight years. He almost reminds me of Vince McMahon. Fake wrestling fans accuse McMahon of not listening to his fan base, of doing things to spite them. James Dolan is the same way. It almost feels like, with the decisions that he makes, that he's purposely trying to make the Knicks a losing team just to spite the fan base. Because he knows they're going to keep showing up. The sad thing is, New Yorkers love and will continue to support this team. I went to a game in Madison Square Garden this time last year. The Knicks were pathetic. They were playing Minnesota, who was also terrible. The Garden was still sold out. It was still loud in that arena. You would have thought that the Knicks were playing in a playoff game. It was that type of atmosphere. Adam Silver has got to step in and take this team away from James Dolan. I know he hasn't done anything as egregious as what Donald Sterling did years ago with the Clippers, but at some point, you've got to get good ownership in place for one of the most popular teams in the league and the biggest market that you have. I talked a lot the last week or two about the future of several NFL quarterbacks. One that I haven't mentioned is Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions. There are rumors going around that the Lions are looking to trade Matt Stafford, although General Manager Bob Quinn is saying that these rumors are 100% false. If I'm Matt Stafford, I'm doing everything I can to get the fuck out of Detroit. I wouldn't call Matt Stafford a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but I'd definitely put him above guys like Dak Prescott, Cam Newton. I'd put him about the same level as Phillip Rivers in his prime. Not top 5, but he's definitely in the top 10. People will point to his record and say he's sub 500. He has a career record of 69, 79, and 1. He's 0-3 in the playoffs. But what people fail to realize, Matt Stafford has been carrying this franchise for 10 years. He's never had any help. The Lions have consistently hampered him with bad defenses. Since 2009, the Detroit Lions defensively have ranked once in the top 10. 2014, they had the 3rd best defense in the league. What do you know? They went 11-5 and made the playoffs. Check out the defenses that Matt Stafford has had to bail out year after year. 2009, they were last in the league. 2010, 19th. 2011, 23rd. 2012, 27th. 2013, 15th. 2014, 3rd. 2015, 23rd. 2016, 13th. 2017, 21st. 2018, 16th. 2019, 26th. 2 of the 3 times the Lions have made the playoffs the past 10 years, they've had a top 15 defense. Matt Stafford is 6th all time in game-winning drives. The guy is clutch. Most of his career, he's had to overcome mediocre talent around him. He's had one all-pro receiver, Calvin Johnson. That's it. No great running backs. No great tight ends. Weak offensive line. He doesn't have any fucking help around him. In the history of the NFL, I don't ever remember a franchise quarterback under contract for multiple years forcing a trade. Essentially forcing his way out of the franchise. It happens often in the NBA. We just saw it last year with Anthony Davis in New Orleans. It's possible that we could see it happen for the first time in the NFL with Matt Stafford. He's got a tradable contract. He's only set to make $8.3 million this coming up season. Detroit has the 3rd pick in the draft, so they could draft their quarterback of the future at that position. Tua, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. One of those guys will be available at number 3. This could be the perfect opportunity for both Matt Stafford and the Lions to move on. 10 years, 3 playoff appearances, 0 wins. It's just not working. All right, that's all for today, guys. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave me a 5-star rating on iTunes. I'll be back on Tuesday to recap the weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. I will see you guys on Tuesday.